I want to welcome the members of the media here today. I am standing with Mr. George Rodriguez, members of his family, with his attorney, with Representative Scott Hochberg, who chairs the new Houston Forensic Science Center, and with Mr. Brandon Dudley, who is representing Senator Rodney Ellis, who has been involved with this case for a very long time. We're here today to mark the end of litigation between the City of Houston and George Rodriguez, who spent more than 17 years behind bars for a rape that he did not commit, or a rape and kidnapping that he did not commit. The parties have agreed to a final settlement of $3 million in this litigation. No one who is standing here on behalf of the city was in the crime lab that generated faulty evidence. No one here was in the courtroom that convicted Mr. Rodriguez, but everyone here who has a heart, who has any compassion at all, owes Mr. Rodriguez an apology for what he had to endure in those 17 and a half years behind bars for a rape and kidnapping that he did not commit. This is not an issue of, well, maybe or maybe not. This was an innocent man who served a very, very long time. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
On behalf of the City of Houston and the citizens of Houston, I want to formally apologize to you for all that you had to endure as an inmate, as a prisoner in the system, but also in the litigation to determine what it would be fair and just compensation for what you had to endure. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that we could do to make up for what happened to you. There is nothing that would be fair. The litigation hasn't been about what is right or fair. What is right is that you never had to go through this. What is fair is that you never had to go through this. This has been trying to get to a place where we could say it's time to put it aside, that there is a settlement that brings closure, that allows you to move on with your life, that allows you to, with the family that's standing with you, move forward, we hope, in years of peaceful future and the ability to continue to build the next phase of your life. Again, I can only say that anyone with any compassion has to offer a heartfelt apology, and I want to personally say I appreciate your courtesy of being here today to allow me to offer this apology in person and to say thank you for your grace through all of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Because of cases like this, in situations involving faulty data and even manufactured evidence out of crime labs, this year the City Council approved creation of the Houston Forensic Science Center, which will handle all forensic operations formerly performed by the Houston Police Department. The LGC Board of Directors has been holding organizational meetings and consulting on best practices around the country. And its job will be to set policy, safeguard the integrity of crime lab operations, and balance the public interests with the rights of accused persons. I asked Scott Hochberg, the chair of our Houston Forensic Science Center, to be here today to briefly address you, to acknowledge that Mr. Rodriguez's case and others have been the catalyst for what has brought us to this point, to make sure that this never happens again to anyone else, and to very briefly tell you where we are on the process and the progress that needs to be made. Representative Hochberg? And I see that we've been joined by Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez. Thank you, Ed, for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. First of all, let me offer, just as a citizen of the state of Texas, my apologies for what you and your entire family had to suffer. And I don't know what to say that I could say more eloquently than the mayor has said it, but this is, we sit in board meetings and we talk about organizational issues and how to get checking accounts put together and who to hire, but this is the heart of it. This is what we're trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And we are going to make mistakes. There will be always mistakes in any kind of process, but one very important thing that our board is about is putting procedures in place to make sure we catch those mistakes. We fix the problems that lead to them, and that we're continually reevaluating the work that's going on. To that end, the council and the mayor gave us the mandate to establish a group of technical advisors to help us with that work, the best people we could get from around the country, to look over our shoulders and to make recommendations for us, to tell us the things that we don't even know the questions to ask sometimes. And we are close to naming that group. We have spoken with close to all of the members that we've proposed after getting recommendations from people around the country, and we will be bringing that forward shortly. We have also retained a search firm to hire the top CEO to run this operation, and we're going through a process of evaluating where we are now. You should all be very clear that the crime lab that is in operation now is very, very different from the one that made the mistake that led to us being here today. We have an accredited crime lab now. We have a crime lab that is in fact seeking the top accreditation that they can possibly have, and that's been under HPD. That's prior to, I can't take any credit for that, although I'm sure I will at a later date. So we're moving forward. We've invited stakeholders from the public to come in and dialogue with us on a regular basis, and we've started having those conversations. And we look forward to creating an accurate lab, an efficient lab, and one that the City of Houston and this community will be proud of. Thank you for letting me participate in this today, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez, did you have any statement that you wish to make?
Mayor, I think you said it well, and Chairman Hochberg as well. Just again, our apologies to the Rodriguez family for everything they've endured. I think it's a good day today because we could bring closure. And as I've stated before, I want to commend Mayor Parker and this City Council because we have taken action. And sometimes it's easy to second guess the steps that we might take, but we feel firmly that we're moving in the right direction to make sure that this never happens again, as the mayor alluded to. And so that's our goal, to make sure that we're making substantive steps to make sure that in the end we're gaining true independence aside from politics and other things, that we could truly have a science-based process, a model in place for the rest of the nation so that this is never repeated. And again, our words can never fully capture our heartfelt apologies for the Rodriguez family, but hopefully he could resume with the rest of his family and have a successful, peaceful life, as the mayor stated. So thank you very much, Mayor.
If you would briefly
Yeah.
do a bit of that in Spanish as well.
Estamos aquí hoy, primeramente, públicamente, para darle una disculpa a la familia de Rodríguez, al señor Rodríguez también, porque por lo que él tuvo que pasar, por lo que la familia tuvo que pasar. Hemos llegado a un acuerdo con la familia por más de $3 millones para resolver el caso que estaba pendiente. Él fue inocente y en 1987 lo pusieron preso sobre un crimen que él no cometió, por el testimonio de una persona que entonces trabajaba para el laboratorio de la ciudad de Houston, el laboratorio criminal, en 1987. Después de más investigación en el año 2004, descubrieron que él realmente era inocente y ya lo soltaron de la cárcel. Entonces, desde entonces hemos tratado, no que estábamos discutiendo los puntos de su inocencia, sino cómo podíamos llegar a un acuerdo. Entonces, de parte de la alcaldesa, dijo un poco del proceso que estamos llevando para estar seguro que esto nunca vuelva a pasar, y también para decirle que esperamos que tenga una vida muy buena, un porvenir muy bueno con su familia, ya que nunca podemos regresar el tiempo que fue perdido, pero solamente una disculpa sinceramente.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Councilmember.
Mayor, thank you, and everybody, it's a bittersweet moment to be here. I'm Councilmember James Rodriguez, and this is my cousin, George Rodriguez. And and I'm in cowboy gear. We were at the seniors event today, but I'm really proud to be a member of City Council today. Our crime lab got something wrong almost 20 years ago today, but today the City of Houston is making it right to George and his family. So I want to thank the mayor for her assistance in correcting this, and now this is a chapter in the City of Houston that can get closed, and we go on and move forward from here. So thank you, Mayor. George, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez indicated that he didn't wish to speak. I will ask him if you wish to say anything. You are not obliged to in any way.
No, I really don't. I mean, I'm just
Can
glad
you
that
just say a
this.
few words about what you
No, it's up to you. If you wish to speak, I'll ask you to step up here. If not, you don't have to. You've been grace under pressure for a long time,
Yeah.
and I know it's not your favorite place to be.
But, I just want to, yeah. You know, and I just want to say a couple of things, you know.
Okay.
That, you know, I accept apology, you know, for whatever, you know, that happened to me. Which it could happen to anybody, you know, it's hard, it's difficult for me, but like I said, hopefully everything gets fixed right, you know, and I just, like the mayor said, I just want to get on with my life and go on living, you know, try to do what I can for my family and everything. But it's kind of hard, really, you know, because I've been through a whole lot, you know. 17 years, my family. But I'll get over it. That's all I gotta say.
Our goal is to make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone again, and to allow George Rodriguez and his family to move on, some closure, and to move on into the next phase of his life. And we wish him well, and again, thank him for the grace with which he has dealt with this situation, and offer a sincere apology. And Mr. Rodriguez, if I'll invite you back into the office, and I know you're, okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Does anybody in his family like to say something?
His attorney, Mr. Kaplan, is here. We asked Mr. Rodriguez to be here today because I thought it was important to make a formal public apology to him. It's not something that he asked for. It's something that we asked for. Does anyone have any questions about the settlement?
Yes, Mayor, can you just kind of go into
It's a final settlement for a total amount of $3 million. It ends the litigation. We've been engaged in the city, and Mr. Rodriguez have been engaged in litigation for 2 years, excuse me, six years. Since 2006, 6 years. Enough. It's time to put this away. This man has suffered enough. It is a fair settlement to both sides. We have agreed.
And he's still eligible for that state, some state benefits in the sense of city.
Do you wish to address that? You have to come over here if you're going to do it, though. Sorry.
Mr. Rodriguez is still entitled to compensation from the state. The lawsuit against the city was for violation of his constitutional rights. The statutory compensation that the state has provided is a separate remedy for anyone who was wrongfully convicted, like Mr. Rodriguez.
Your name, sir?
Alex Kaplan,
Can you spell that for us?
Kaplan.
And Alex, what is the status of that right now?
Mr. Rodriguez has not yet applied for his compensation. Our expectation is he will do so in the future.
What's the deadline?
It's 3 years from the date on which he was eligible, and he recently was, the Harris County District Attorney recently acknowledged that he was in fact innocent, as the city has done for some time, but the county had not done so for many years, but recently did so, and so it's 3 years from that date.
Will he continue to be a registered sex offender, or that will be taken away?
His convictions were vacated by the Court of Criminal Appeals in 2004 when he received habeas corpus relief. Thank you.
Mayor, you apologized for the litigation, that's what you said. Do you mean that you apologize for the city taking so long to settle?
No, I apologize that there was a miscarriage of justice that caused him to lose so many decades, 2 decades of his life. We have obligations as fiduciaries of the city to try to come to an agreement that is fair to Mr. Rodriguez, but also respects the needs of the city. But as I said, there isn't anything right or fair about this situation. That he has been through a horrible ordeal, and it's time to put it aside. We think we have come to an agreement that meets the needs of Mr. Rodriguez and the city, end all litigation, and allow him to move forward. And there are some other steps for him to take, for example, with the state of Texas. But he clearly has the strong support of his family, and I think that's one of the things that helped sustain him all these years.
But do you agree with the fact that the city appealed the jury verdict?
We have reached a settlement. I think the original jury verdict was for $5 million, and we have reached a settlement for $3 million.
Is that just coming out of the general fund, Mayor?
We put money aside for claims and judgments against the city. Yes, it is taxpayer dollars, but this is litigation that's gone on for a long time. It's time we came to an agreement, so it ends here.
Do you foresee similar litigation down the road? Obviously, the problem is not, the problem with the crime lab is not a single incident. Are you concerned this might-
The city gets sued on a regular and routine basis. That's why we have a large law firm that works for us across the street. But we put money aside for claims and judgments against us, and we'll just see what happens in the future. I'm not going to speculate as to whether there's more things that could ever come out of the crime lab. What is important is that the current crime lab and our other forensic processes are accredited, they're fully functioning, and we have in place our new independent forensic science center with an oversight board to put checks and balances in place to prevent this from happening in the future.
And I don't know if you or Representative Hochberg wants to talk about it, and there's still no closer sort of meeting of the minds between you guys and the county on the whole thing?
See-
It's still kind of like this sort of standoff?
I'm happy to have Mr. Hochberg come up, but this is not about, today is not about the county at all. We're not going to rush things. We're going to have a deliberate process. If it makes sense for us to combine forces with the county, we will combine forces with the county. If it doesn't, we won't. What we need is to make sure that we have a crime lab or crime labs that do good science and provide appropriate information to the criminal justice system, and there are no further miscarriages of justice such as happened with Mr. Rodriguez.
Do you have any estimate on how much it costs the city to fight the jury verdict or to fight?
I do not. Perhaps the city legal department does, but we have been litigating this in-house. All right, thank you.